Jeremy, thanks for letting me come to your studio.
Of course.
For those that are watching this video from the NFT community, welcome to Jeremy Cowart's studio here in Franklin, Tennessee. I flew all the way out here from California so that we could share this conversation face to face. Obviously, we have a great friendship, so it's always nice to spend time with you. But I felt like it was important for the NFT community, the crypto Web3, the AI people have jumped into the this environment a lot as well. And you kind of taken all these different technologies and created this suite of technology and software and creativity that is unparalleled to anybody else in the world. And I thought there's no better way for you to show that off than for me to come here and kind of do a demo of what you're doing on a regular basis. But of course, what I really want to talk about is your experience, past, present, and what you project to happen in the future around what you do with the NFT space. So maybe you, for those that maybe don't know you, you could just kind of reintroduce yourself to me and give me a little background pre-NFT world. Yeah,
pre-NFT. Yeah, I'm a lifelong artist. My name is Jeremy Cowart, lifelong artist. It was painting, and then it was design, then it was web design, then it was photography, and photography really blew up, and that's what I've spent the last 15, 20 years doing. But now these days I combine all of it together, the design, the illustration, the painting, the photography, and technology all in one big mix. I love it.
And what was how'd you find out about what was happening around NFTs and that market?
It was when the Beeple sale happened. Okay. $69 million sale, I think, caught the attention of everybody.
Of any artist. Right.
And I was impressed, but not interested. It wasn't until months later that people started telling me I should really look into it, and then I still wasn't interested. I tried a few things on OpenSea, was not very successful, and it wasn't until I truly wrapped my head around what generative code could do that I became super fascinated.
And your first drop was a 3 originals that are one-of-ones. You want to talk about that for a moment?
My very first drop was actually a dance series of photos. 40 photos that I dropped.
That's what you're mentioning as being kind of an early entry, testing things out.
Yeah, and they actually, in hindsight, they did do well. But in my head, they didn't, because I'm a typical insecure artist, And I was seeing like everything sell out and everybody killing it. And so I was like, well, if I'm not selling out, then I guess I'm not successful. But again, in hindsight, I was like, oh, I was really successful. So yeah, I actually quit the space entirely for months, and then I went to Art Basel in Miami, and a friend showed me what generative code was, and then I was like, oh man, I've got some cool ideas. I went and learned it myself, learned how to, make NFTs, and that's when I fell in love hardcore.
And when you talk about selling out a project, I believe you sold out your 999 block queens in 2 seconds?
2 seconds, yeah.
Okay, so you did have that moment.
At that point, yes. I did not feel like a failure anymore,
In that experience, you have 999 of these digital assets. They're all one of one. They're all originals. There's nothing else like it in the world. It's part of a collection of 999, but each one is completely different, and they all have different pieces that make up what it is. It's also an augmented reality approach where I've seen skateboarders put them in skate parks. I've seen different curators put them in museums and galleries. And so you created these NFTs with generative code. And not only do they sell out in 2 seconds, but there's all sorts of applications around them. And then there's also utility. If somebody owned one of these, then they would be given your newest project, Oris, and we'll get to that in a moment. But tell me about the experience with Block Queens. What exceeded your expectations, and what were some landmines that you did not realize you might walk into when you start selling digital art to community, build a Discord, have your collectors all hang out and talk together? They have expectations, you have expectations. Maybe talk to me a bit about the rhythms of the light and dark experiences you had with Block Queens before.
Man, yeah, I mean, Block Queens was just really 20 years of work that came together to form that, because it was years and years of drawings, of Polaroids, of paintings, and just, I've always loved textures, and it just all came together with this idea with my buddies at Transient Labs. And at that time, Transient Labs was like they were there very beginning too.
Right.
You know, we just met, and started brainstorming, and it just kind of took a life of its own thanks to those guys. But yeah, I mean, the success of that was shocking because in 2 seconds, 1,000 sold out. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And that was a lot of money at that time because that's when the space was just total bear market and killing it. Sorry, bull market. And I was like, oh, this is great, you know.
Right.
But then comes all the community, which is amazing. I love the community, but then you realize as an artist you can only do so much, and
right.
the community starts wanting more and more and more of you, and you're like, oh man, this is stressful, and
right.
it starts really weighing on you because you do want to please everybody, and you realize you can't. It's literally impossible, and so they want utility and they want all these
right.
things that, like, man, I'm just one person. I'm just trying to feed my children and be a good dad and
right.
be a good husband. And so, yeah, it can get really, really daunting. And I'm not the big low side was just feeling like you have to literally live on Twitter, you know, and I can't do that. I mean, I am on social media a lot, but I need to breathe. I need
right.
time away. And so I did. I took a good, 6 months, 9 months where I kind of went quiet. And that was disheartening because people thought I left them. They thought it was a cash grab, but it never is. Like, I just need to come in hot with a big idea, and then I need to go brainstorm the next idea. Kind of like making a movie. They don't continue making movies. They make a movie, promote it, release it, then they go back to the drawing board and spend months or years to come up with the next big thing, you know. And so I think the NFT space falls short when they expect artists to constantly be, with no breaks, where I'm like, I need a minute to breathe, to come up with the next thing. So Auras, which I know we'll get to in a minute, but that was, a good year after Black Queens.
Let's talk about this intensity of expectation for a second.
Yeah.
So one thing I've observed outside of creativity and art, just in the realm of investment, speculative investing, gambling, and everything in between, a professional, accredited investor, and these young day traders that are kind of dipping their toe in the water. Up until cryptocurrency, you had Monday through Friday, set hours, the market opens, the market closes.
Yep.
Then cryptocurrency comes. Now you have all the different exchanges and all the different opportunities to acquire and sell cryptocurrency. People realize that, wait, there's a possibility of me making a tremendous amount of money, obviously the same equal possibility of losing everything, and it never ends.
Yeah.
There's no Monday through Friday, there's no set hours, market's always open, things can go ballistic at any moment. So if that is the ecosystem by which people are functioning when they are collecting crypto art and digital collectibles, I imagine that makes a big impact on their expectations in terms of the always be on, always be available, always be responsive, what's next, what's the roadmap, what's the timeline. Because when you look at art and creatives in terms of, you mentioned movies, music, even other photographers that don't play in the space, when they come out, a photographer with a coffee table book, or a actor, actress is in a new TV series, and now the series drops, you binge watch it, it's over. They don't have to be on social media. Now, many do feel the pressure, but they don't have to. Certainly in the past, there was no pressure. And maybe there's a higher amount of pressure and expectation for individual creatives that create collections like Block Queens and Auras and others, to where people are collecting these things with all sorts of motivations. Maybe you could give me some thoughts on, what do you think about people that have bought your assets that you create to hold them, to be a collector? Like, I bought this, or I bought these, I'm not letting these go, these are for my great grandkids. Compared to those that, I bought this because it seemed low, and now I list it immediately, and I'm just trying to make it. So, because when you have a community, and there's all this kind of said and unsaid expectation and pressure, you're not dealing with one community. You're not dealing with people that are just buying and selling your assets to make money, nor are you dealing with people that are buying and collecting. You're dealing with a whole range of people.
That's right.
And so what's the experience for you as the person that folks are looking to to figure out how to kind of, dance with this type of song being played?
Yeah, first of all, I'm deeply grateful for those who just truly appreciate the effort, the art, who are there to collect long term. Like, they have no idea how much that means to me or any artist, And then for the rest who are just day trading, like, I get it, like, I understand. I've done some of that myself, I've got a whole collection myself. I love collecting, and so I get both sides of it, and I just know that that's what I'm signing up for.
Right.
And I'm signing up for even the hate and the people upset. But I became extremely vulnerable and clear with my community, where I was literally sending them video updates at one point every single day.
Wow.
Like, here's what I'm doing, here's where we're at, like, here's what's happening, and my community. It's amazing when you're that clear, they start defending you for you. When somebody else new comes in and they're mad, or what's the roadmap, what's this, where's my whatever, then the rest of the community starts, like, they're almost speaking on my behalf. And
right.
So we got to that point, and so I have, and especially during the heat of the drop, I had an amazing relationship with my Aura's community. I'm so grateful for them. But I have never in my life worked that hard, that many hours for months on end. And so, I got to a point where it wasn't just about the space, it was about my health as a human being. Right. It's like I have to stop. Like, after the drop, a few weeks, I supported the drop. But then I hit a point where literally, like, the lowest point in my life as a human, where I had to abort mission, like, right. Bail, go quiet, go silent. Not bail on my community, but I needed as a human being to go quiet. Yeah.
Did that happen between Block Queens and Oris, or after Oris?
After Oris, okay. Yeah.
So let's talk about Oris for a second.
Yeah.
So obviously you've already hinted toward the emotional exhaustion and mental strain that project brought, both in the creation of it, as well as now it's done, and all the deflation, the downhill after you've hit that peak, as well as the disappointment in the state of the market and things of that nature. So Oris, you told me about Oris, which I felt was maybe the most significant project that any artist had done or attempted to do. Can you talk about the firsts that you did in lithographs, the first that you did in Block Queens, and then the level of ambition in terms of the list of firsts that you did with Oris, and then we can dive into the project a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, Block Queens was a first in that it was, 20 years of art presented as these interactive 3D augmented reality, situation where you could interact and zoom in and zoom out of years of art. Coldy had done a similar thing, but as far as I know, he uses found art. He doesn't actually make the elements in the art, whereas I, hand created everything. And so there was that. Then with lithographs, I was the first to ever take a portrait of a person and make the light in the photo, the analog light, be interactive, to where you could take your cursor.
You move your mouse, and then that changes how the light is on the person. Yeah, it changes the
light in the photo. And so light really does tell a story. So then to be able to give the viewer control over the story and to be able to manipulate the light was the first of its kind.
Yeah.
And was even showcased at a Phillips auction alongside the greatest artists that have ever lived. I mean, Andy Warhol, Andy Leibovitz, like all the icons of photography, was displayed at that level. And then with the Oris was a crazy ass idea where I invited the public to come to this.
I think there's like 300 of us there.
Yeah, about 300 people live, people watching online. And the goal is to create a 10K project in 20 minutes, start to finish, which was, as far as I'm aware, the first of its kind. But then using a big LED volume wall that was 130 feet wide.
Yeah, this is at View.
Yeah, View Studio. And then with projection on my face and lighting, 20 lighting setups at that time, changing every photo. A robot holding a prism, changing the light refractions happening. I would change clothes, change poses, and so I had this beautiful classical music playing behind me.
Which was also an NFT artist.
Yeah, another NFT artist. And And what I thought was happening was just this really cool creative experience where people got to see technology and art at a level we'd never seen before. What I didn't know that was happening was this insanely emotional experience, because even as I was performing, I could hear people in the audience crying. Like there were people just literally crying the entire time. And what
let me pause you for a minute and talk about my experience, then you can pick up.
Yeah.
Because I cried. I basically cried the whole 20 minutes.
Yeah, crazy.
So here's my experience.
Yeah.
I have co-produced hundreds of events, including concerts. I've been involved in theater, not as an actor, but involved in lots of different production of big, small, and everything in between, all over the world. Asia, Europe, the States. I have a very wide experience of live performance. When I went to your event, obviously you and I have built a meaningful friendship, and so I came as your friend.
Yeah.
I collect, I have block queens, many of them, and I intended to get auras. So in that sense, I'm also a collector. I care about like the art and what you're doing with that. I'm involved with NFTs, obviously. So I show up, and I saw like 50 of my friends in the room, just people that I've known over the years, and people that love you. And you have this 130-foot wall of screens, and you have this setup like similar to this, but just a bit more intense. You're wearing all white, a white hood. You kind of look like what Kanye might wear if he wore all white.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have all these different hats and glasses and things, and you come out, you explain what's going to happen. I have my NFT musician friend, and Apple partnered with me, and Canon partnered with me, and this lighting company partnered with me, and then there's all these service companies and View, and everybody came to show up so that you could try to not do one ambitious thing, but a bunch of ambitious things that never been done before. You were asking the Canon camera and the MacBook Pro with the M3 chip, and you were asking these different products to do things they had never done. And you're asking softwares to do things that they had never been asked to do.
That's right.
You have the people that work for the companies that are like, are you sure? I mean, why does this have to be live? Do you sure you need to live stream this? This seems like a big risk that you're taking. So I'm standing in the corner, about 20, 30 feet, 40 feet from you. I'm next to some of our mutual friends, and I remember this sense of significance. Like I felt like I was emotionally vested in what was happening. And so you say, okay, here's what's going to go on, and you start the process, and the process almost starts, and then there's a hiccup. And I remember like whispering under my breath, the type of things I'd whisper if like my kid was in a championship sports game. It was that kind of emotion, like, come on, like it's got to work. Like they've got to score the touchdown. They got to get that last day. It was that type of intensity in me. And then it worked, and the music soared. And I'm looking over here on the side, and now it's hundreds and thousands, and tears just start flowing down my face. And I remember just crying for 15 minutes. And I just thought, I've never seen ambition, risk, and courage on display in this way with this level of authenticity and vulnerability, where it only takes one of 100 software, hardware, partnership things to go wrong in the moment, and it's not the experience we came for. The live stream doesn't and graced. It works out, and it happens. So before we get to like the experience of trying to have all these be acquired and the craziness with the gas fees, now that I shared my experience of, I cried too. So you're there, this is happening. Take me back to the experience of what was happening in you, because what's happening in you must have been more intense than what's happening in me and in the others that are feeling that with you.
First of all, thank you for that. It nearly made me cry. Like, it was like, you going through, like, I was reliving it all together. I mean, I do know that what I was doing, and try to say this humbly, that what I was doing was truly, never been done before on so many levels. And I worked so hard to really get the attention of the industry, which is a hard thing to do because, you know, the industry goes to like the top 1% of artists, and it's so hard to crack into that. But I was like, hello, y'all, like this is one of those things, you know, that nobody, you know, the industry needs to see. So I worked all that way, and then in the moment, I mean, dude, it was unbelievable amounts of stress because, like you just said, any one thing could have made all that not work. I mean, even the dumb orange tether cable, if it shortened on me, like it would have ruined the whole thing. Like there were so many, even this little remote could have ruined the whole thing. Like, everything had to work in harmony. So yeah, once it got going, I was like, oh man, here we go. You know, and it was just, I was just focused. I mean, I was just extremely focused. Is the camera firing? Is it tethering? Are the images playing? Is the MacBook Pro keeping up? You know, am I doing, have we spent enough time doing this hat, this hat, this hat? You know, thinking through all the things. So I was mega stressed, but in a really beautiful, peaceful way, trying to soak into what is happening. My children are here watching this, my wife and my family and my friends. People flew in like yourself to be there. And so, and then once it was done, I was like, what the hell just happened? You know, because I could feel the emotional intensity in the room. And I was like, and people were, it was like standing ovation, people clapping and all that. It was so powerful. And yeah, like it went much bigger than me in the best way possible. It just became, and what I realized in that moment is like we go see a movie on a theater on screen, we can go see Broadway, we can go see like a dance recital or whatever, but we don't really get, you don't go watch a photographer do a photo shoot. You don't go watch a lot of visual, you don't,
watch a sculptor sculpt or
a painter paint.
Not
exactly.
very often. And so, certainly not the way that you and the team were able to display the grandeur of what was going on.
So yeah, I think that's what I realized, like, wow, this doesn't happen. And it needs to happen so much more. In fact, just literally having this conversation, I'm having more ideas for another one. But yeah, and then to start talking to people afterwards, like yourself, and hear.
Yeah, I came over the next day.
Yeah, and to hear the reactions, you know, I was just, dude, it's crazy to think about because I was both immensely, just my heart was soaring because it was so beautiful to have that, but I also knew the state of the industry that week. I think even the morning of the event, you know, of all the different newsletters we subscribe to, they're all like NFTs, rock bottom. You know, it's as bad as bad gets.
Well, it wasn't just the price of NFTs being rock bottom. It wasn't just the
prices. Yeah.
That was, so it wasn't like, not only did NFTs reduce by 50% and some collections to zero, let's say on average, maybe it's 90% reduction from the top, which isn't unusual for cryptocurrency either. This is kind of the extremes that happen in this industry. But the gas fees were so high that the gas fee was more than the payment for the actual asset. Back to the experience. I want to go one more thing on the experience. A caterpillar has this metamorphosis process and becomes what to the eye seems like a completely different creature. From the transition from caterpillar to butterfly. How do you feel like Oris was a cocoon that transformed who you are from Jeremy Cowart, the man that was before Oris, into the man that you either became or are becoming? Because I do feel like there was a cocoon experience with what you did in that moment.
Who are you?
Your friend.
How do you know that? You're blowing my mind right now, like literally. So, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of the butterfly cocoon thing. So in hindsight, I had a hell of a year last year. Like awful year. Since Oris. Like literally after Oris, it's a long story, but every bucket of life you can think of, family, spirituality, health, finances, all of them just went south. And literally like 2 months ago, it hit me that I was like, I can't believe that in the moment of Oris, I was becoming a wholly different person. And I didn't know it. I mean, it's like worthy of a Marvel Comics movie, like Spider-Man, like some kind of weird ass thing where people are watching this performance that to me, again, at that time was just a cool technology idea. The public was clearly seeing something more powerful, but they had no idea how powerful it was, nor did I. Because in hindsight, I'm like, holy shit, I was actually changing into a different person. And have been different ever since. Like I actually changed as a person in both, I think, good ways, but probably some not great ways too. But it's insane that you're bringing that up because that was the truth. It really was this shedding of something that happened in front of the public, in front of an online audience, and in the form of a NFT project. Like Oris was so much more powerful than I ever could have realized. So the transformation of me as a human happened.
Most of the transformation of you is unseen, and you'd have to share what it is. But a couple of things that I've seen is you're healthier now than you've been. You know, going to CrossFit every day and choosing to, regardless of the, you know, unusual hurdle that you have to face with your balance being off and the vertigo and the things that come with that, you've been disciplined and you're healthier and fitter than you've been. Like that's a symptom of a transformation. Another one would be like the volume of business that you're doing right now here in this studio is so, I don't think you would have believed yourself if you told yourself, if you told yourself a year or 3 years ago, self, and in 1 to 3 years, we're going to do free photos, 1 minute photo shoots at our studio, and we're going to make a year's wage in a month. So you would, but that success is a symptom of a transformation, which is why that's happened recently and not before Oris. Are there any other things that kind of come to mind that you think you could share to encourage other creatives that even if it hurts, even if it's painful, even if it's hard to go into the cocoon, even if it means that there are detriments and hurdles to face, there's beauty on the other side. And you know, so I'm just inviting you to see if you can share anything else.
There's so much beauty. I mean, forcing myself, I never would have thought I was capable of all that, and I just pushed and pushed and pushed. Because with Oris, I was the artist, the photographer, the customer service, the
coder.
The coder. I mean, I was literally doing code.
The technician.
The technician. Answering all the questions on
production
Twitter.
And post.
Production. The production
not to
assistant.
diminish all that the teams did. Not to diminish, but I was here. I was here the next day. I remember what was on your shoulders. Like you had to go through, you had to do everything. And part of that is the artist's dilemma, right? As artists, we have a difficult time. We want to be involved in all the process of what's being created.
But man, I am so glad I did all of it. I wouldn't change it for a thing. Like there's endless beauty on the other side. It's hard to even like sum that up. You know, what all has come from that, who I became, what all I've learned. This all exists because of what I forced myself to do. You know, you just push. It's like when a buffalo is facing a storm and a cow is facing a storm, the cow turns and tries to run away from it, but is in fact running with it, you know. Whereas a buffalo turns and faces the storm and goes through it faster to get the beauty on the other side quicker, you know, and like that's what I had to do. Just go into it, head down, face the storm, and there's been so much beauty on the other side of that.
We just had a couple gals come over to do a photo shoot before we started this. And a couple of things that caught my attention. They both drove here, one from Atlanta and one from St. Louis, which shows the significance of like, hey, let's go and do this 1 minute photo shoot with Jeremy. One of them had been a part of your online community, and so got to know you that way and was inspired by your creativity. And the other one said something that caught my attention. She said, My partner sent me your video, a video about you in the past. I showed it to some people and they had already seen it.
Yeah.
And the reason why this catches my attention is you have been not only a prolific creator before NFTs were a thing. Now, in every facet, right? You even talked about web design, graphic design, but of course going to photography and then celebrity photography and celebrity, creativity and being a creative director of sorts against different projects. Not only have you done that, but you've also allowed people to capture your story over 20 years. So a lot of the story that was captured in the last 20 years, there's a large contingency that all kind of agree with that story and that rhythm.
Yeah.
When your worldview, your story starts to change, how do you make decisions on what to share and what to kind of navigate privately? Because that's obviously going to play into how you deal with telling your story in the future, and even how you deal with your community of collectors and traders that are currently excited about what you've created and certainly will support you as you do the next thing. How do you decide how to tell your story when you go through a transformation?
Man, just the more vulnerable, the better. The more real, the better. I've always worn my heart on my sleeve, and so I just feel like telling it like it is the best and only path forward. I've never lied or fronted or tried to present something that's not. I just feel like there's so much reward every time I'm just dead honest with the public about what's going on. And so even now, lately I've been the same way, and it's just amazing how we're all going through our own shit shows, and so everybody can relate, and life is hard, and art is hard. Art is not for the faint of heart, and so that all rhymed. Anyway, yeah, that's my answer. I'm just honest. I always try to be dead honest.
Yeah. When you look at Mike Winkelmann, who, Beeple is how he's known to the world, Rafik and many others that are the most, they have access to the platforms the most, they have the largest amount of engagement online, all which they've earned. When you see artists that have earned that level of engagement and support, but when you see that and you say to yourself, I am still an emerging artist that is trying to get the news publications and the bloggers and the podcasters and the events and the collectors especially to jump in and be a part of my world too. Look at all the innovative things I'm doing. So how do you navigate the emotions, and then how do you make a decision on okay, well, then this is the next step so that I can take these forward momentum progress in order to earn the commitment, loyalty, attention of the collectors and everybody else involved in this environment?
Man, I think that question, that topic is what ultimately just broke me, because I did work so hard and I did do something so innovative that had never been done before. Across the industry, it was agreed on. NFT now, I'll get all the publicity. I mean, I achieved a lot in terms of getting the word out, but it still wasn't widely accepted at the top % of the industry, which is where you really break through.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. I mean, it just is. I feel like there's multi-millionaire artists and the rest are thousandaires. That is the difference. You're either making millions and millions in the top point whatever %, or you're making thousands of dollars. And I was in that range of breaking through, and I just never did. And it's not that I needed to make millions, but this project, Oris, was so expensive to produce. We went to the highest production value on everything. People would be shocked if they knew how expensive that whole thing was to put together, but that's what it required. And so in Oris, not only didn't make that much money, enough to recoup, I just went into, and then the industry, the top collectors didn't jump on board. Why? I don't know. My heart broke, and I mean that quite literally. I was broken. I was like, I give up. I don't know because again, it didn't make as much money as it needed to.
Right.
The acceptance wasn't there. I was like, I'm done. I can't. I just worked my ass off for 6 months, and this took me 10 years to figure out how to do it. And it's literally over 10 years of sitting right here, tens of thousands of hours right here, you know, to get to that point and to not have the acceptance. I was just like, I'm good, you know, peace out. And so, and again, I'm obviously back now, and but it took months to kind of find myself again. You know, that was hard. And so, but that's the nature of the art world. Outside of the NFTs as well, there's gatekeepers, and some artists like can be 22 years old and fart on a pillow, and they're multimillionaires. You know, like it's just that's the way it is. Where you can work your ass off for 20 years and not get that same, you know, whatever. So I don't know, man. It's just the art world is cruel. It can be cruel for sure.
What is measures of success, and what are clearly not measures of success for you?
It's a really good question. I mean, I think measures of success are, if I'm just being, again, dead honest, I mean, I wanted that project to make a lot of money. Black Wings made a lot of money, so that was a massive success financially. But
and Black Wings made a lot of money immediately, and it had ongoing royalties. And Oris not only did it not make the money that you had expected, and your partners had expected, but it was a slow disappointment. Because every hour you're like, well, maybe this is the hour. Every day it's like, well, maybe today's the day. And so it didn't have this immediate impact of Block Queens like, this is amazing. So not only was it not amazing, it was slowly disappointing. And the disappointment obviously compounds every. That's right. But asking about measure of success. So obviously money is a measure of success.
But also, like, all of them have been insanely successful in terms of me breaking barriers and doing things that have never been done and pushing myself to limits like Oris is. I mean, I can't think of anything work-wise that I'm more proud of for the creativity and ingenuity. And that was a crazy project. Even in hindsight, I'm like, did I really do that, you know? Like, I'm proud of myself for figuring that out. And so, yeah, I mean, that has to be a level measure of success for any artist, that you have an idea and you're able to go to work and birth that idea and it be what you envisioned in your head, that gift you were given of the idea itself, and you're able to make that thing be born. Like, that is success. That's massive success. To bring ideas to life, because it's hard.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. Even
it's so much harder than people think it is.
Yeah.
Innovation, entrepreneurial innovation, especially around a lead visionary and or creative, that even if there's a team around you, you still have to be the one that continues to, like, walk where there's no lit path. Like, you don't really know what's about to come because you're innovating, you're doing something nobody's ever done before. It's a uncomparably traumatic experience, and even the mountain peaks don't actually make it a pleasant experience. People that continue to innovate like yourself, it's because it's who you are, right? It has to do with your identity. Like, you are a creative innovator, so that's what you do because it's who you are. Not because, well, this is the best way to make money, this is the happiest life, and I'll laugh more and sleep more, and like, that has nothing to do. It's not about the pleasure, right? But the pain is not so great that you refuse to do it because it's who you are. So you follow your identity rather than run away from the hardship. What's next for you?
Man, a lot. I am dying to, right now I'm really busy with these photo shoots. There's a talk that I've dying to get out of my system. In fact, I just had another idea of saying that.
Okay, well, we say yes. You can give that talk at NFT NYC, April 3rd to the 5th.
Yeah. Actually, that could work. I might take you up on that.
Yeah.
So there's this talk that's been on my heart for literally years that I think the world needs to hear. And it's a talk that compares the camera body to the human body. And the way a camera body works is actually the exact same way a human body works. And so it's a deep dive into light and life and what we surround ourselves with, what we look at, the internet, social media. It's a pretty profound talk. And so, yeah, I need to, gosh, I'm literally having a brainstorm right now. I need to get that out of my system. I needed access to Sora. That's what I needed access to.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. Sora is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You've rightfully been quite publicly critical of what we call AI, which is just big, large language models off of your and my data, your photographs, and my videos. Like, this doesn't really belong to OpenAI or to Google or to Midjourney. They're taking humanity's collective data, and they're taking machine learning algorithms and massive, unfathomable amount of compute. We have no idea the number of servers and chips required for them to do what they're doing in real time. Now, we call it AI. There's no such thing as artificial intelligence, but we can call it that for fun.
Yeah.
You were quite critical, like, hey, this is a danger for you and every peer of yours, any graphic designer, any web designer, any photographer, now any video maker, right? This is a very, very dangerous situation because you have this mass group of people that are artists and creatives that already have a very difficult time making a living. And now you're going to basically allow people to, in 5 minutes or less, create an output that they would have paid dozens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for. Over time, you became accepting of this is what's in the market. And even, well, I wonder, since it's here, what can I do to collaborate? And what we see on the screen, your big LED wall, is one example where you created these images in Midjourney, which allows you to do a collaborative, co-creation of your hardware, your software, your creativity, the people that you bring, and then be able to use as a backdrop. But maybe tell me a bit about your thoughts on the NFT cryptography type automation compared to this AI type automation, because you're leveraging both in your creativity. What's your view moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I am embracing it. Like, this is a perfect use case because this is the backgrounds of my photos. It's still my photos that I'm creating, and I just need color and texture. I actually could just still use my own paintings and art.
Like you did at Doris.
Yeah.
Right.
But with this, I don't know, it's just fun to be able to tell Midjourney to crank out new images.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what's coming to mind. I actually called this shot last year. I was spot on with this worry. My fear with AI is that it is already so powerful, so amazing, so beautiful, so perfect, even so soulful, that we're going to be so inundated with perfection now with AI that when we do know that something is human-made, actually created 2 years ago, that would have blown us away.
Right.
Whoa, you made that photo, you made that piece of music, you made that film. But now, because we're seeing perfect, amazing AI work every day, we're no longer wowed by it. So, for example, in the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago, there was this unbelievable ad for actually Jesus, some Christian organization, but Julia Fullerton-Batten, like, multi-six-figure production made all these photos. Unbelievable photos. The entire internet attacked the company saying, we can't believe you used AI for these.
Was that the He Gets Us?
Yeah, He Gets Us.
Those are real photos?
Those are real photos.
I would have never known
Everybody
that.
thought it was all AI.
I thought 100%
And it was
AI.
exactly my point a year ago. I'm like,
Interesting.
dang, like actual amazing art was just dismissed.
Wow.
Oh, it's just AI. Like, that's what we're getting to, is now when real human art is going to be made, we're not going to care, we're not going to believe. And even if we then do find out it's actually human made, already in our head it was AI. And so it just waters down actual ingenuity, actual creativity. And so now Julia on her Instagram, she's having, and I also called this shot too. I said, in the future, you're going to have to show behind the scenes with every creation to prove that you actually made it. And sure enough, on her Instagram, she has the photo along with the full behind the scenes production. 20 photo assistants, the full crew, lighting all over the place. All of those are photos. But we all thought...
I thought 100%. Oh, that's Midjourney. Interesting. They used Midjourney to pump it out.
Yeah, no. I was like, probably a million.
That campaign took a ton of heat.
Yeah.
That campaign took heat from everybody. I think like 90% of people that said something about that campaign were critical.
Yeah.
It's like everybody had some reason to critique it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the photos, then it was for the message. The message is too spiritual, too religious. It's not spiritual enough. It's not religious enough. Whatever. People always have love to throw stones. Yeah. So that was an interesting thing, and I had not heard that that wasn't a real art. Yeah, one of the things that David Packman and I just did a conversation. David opens the NFT NYC opening keynote every year. The state of NFTs, he's the best in the world at it. Yeah. Nobody can explain where we're at, where we've been, and where we likely are going as much as David can, who is the managing partner at CoinFund, which is the top crypto VC firm. So we were having this conversation. I was telling him, like a third of people that applied to speak at NFT NYC this year, which we are not a Web3 conference. Yeah. We are not a metaverse conference. Yeah. We are not a cryptocurrency conference. We are just an NFT, digital asset, crypto collectible, membership, right? We're that. That's what we focus on at NFT NYC. And we've done well to cultivate community. However, like a third of people, their talks are that, NFTs, in this industry, and AI. Yeah. Now, obviously, some of that has to do with like, AI is the hot thing right now. What Dave and I talked about was the benefit of AI to protect artists. When all of us, your photographs that are being used in Midjourney and being used in Gemini 1.5, right? And all of our collective data being used, that right now, there's no way to prove, well, hey, I actually participated in that creation. And AI should allow people to prove that, especially when you combine AI and the blockchain. It's not just AI and blockchain for creation, but AI and the blockchain for ensuring fair compensation. So that's one of the things that I think I would really love to see happen in the near future. If people want to investigate your current works and what's coming, where might they find you? I know you have one of the coolest websites in the world.
Oh, thank you. You have a website, jeremycowart.com, Instagram, obviously. Those are the best places for sure. One more thing about AI, they got to figure out how to make it not as easily reproducible. So for example, you can't go recreate one of my photos. I can't go recreate one of your songs or films. Like you can't just do that. But last week I was sitting on my couch watching football and I found the sickest, dopest AI stuff I could find. And on my couch, I was able to pretty much recreate it in seconds with Midjourney. Like even name the famous AI artist. Because with AI, you can even say not only provide a link, make a work like this, or you can provide the source files. You can say, do it in this style. Like that's where I'm like, I don't know that it qualifies as should be in the MoMA or whatever museum. And so I'm sure that's a heated topic, but again, like there's no other art form where you can just easily recreate it on your couch, eating potato chips within a matter of 10 seconds.
Right.
So anyway,
it's so fascinating.
We got a long way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Certain things will be much faster than we expect.
Yeah.
And certain things will never happen.
Yeah.
Like most likely we'll never actually have AGI. Yeah. Most likely computers will never have a soul, even if they kind of act like they have personalities. Most likely that's true. Yeah. Because it'd be so strange for that to actually happen, and it has so much to do with like what we've created with escapism and entertainment around media and books and things of that nature. However, certain things like Sora displacing the videography industry and 85–90% of Hollywood losing their job, like that probably happened a lot faster than people think. Yeah. Like once Sora's available for people and they can just say, I would have paid $5,000 or $105,000 for this, and it would have taken 2 weeks or 5 months for this, and now I get it done in 15 seconds by paying a $20 a month membership. I don't really see how that does anything except for that market shift happens. Taxis aren't used, Uber's used. Hotels don't get visitors as often because Airbnb's here. And the whole videography industry is in big trouble with Sora, just like in many ways the photography and the painting industry is, face some real challenges with Midjourney. Last thing on our conversation here, leading into NFT NYC, it's going to happen in the Javits Center. You were there with us last year. You've been with us before. what are you looking forward to? Are you looking forward to seeing anybody specifically? Other artists or your community? Are you looking forward to hearing anybody or in exploring things? You want to go look at the vendor booths and see what type of new things are being created? Like, what draws you, except for the fact we've begged you to come talk, what draws you to come to our event and events like ours?
It sounds so cliche, but I mean it genuinely when I say all of it, because it's the interactions with artists, it's the hearing the talks, it's the seeing the showroom floor and seeing what new tech is out there. Like, I genuinely take it all in, and I go home with like, okay, that was like a reset, like time to get to work. You know, it's all feeds into this really interesting inspiration tube where it just all funnels in, and you take bits and pieces of what you need. Hopefully you find all the right talks to hear, you know, but I do love it all. But of course my favorite is connecting and hanging out with other artists. Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed being here, connecting
amazing.
with you. Thank you for
awesome.
bringing our community into your space today. I'm so glad I flew out for it.
Yeah, he flew across the country to come do this. This is amazing. I'm honored, man.
Yes.